I'm going to talk to you about a very simple but very effective rig. I've been using this rig for a good 10 years. It's basically my version of the blowback rig, and I call it the drop down rig. I basically put a treble A shot just underneath the bait, and the bait will be a pop-up. So the pop-up will sit in the air, but the hook will lay flat on the bottom. When you're fishing waters that are particularly pressured and the fish are a little bit cute, this is definitely a rig that will catch them out. So I first come up with a drop down rig so many years ago. I was fishing Yateley, I was only a teenager, and I watched a fish come along a gravel shelf, and as it was feeding, it picked up a stone. It swam off, and when it was about 2 or 3 foot off the bottom, it uprighted and the stone dropped to the bottom. And it left me wondering where that stone had gone, and it had dropped down in the palate of the fish's mouth. At this point, I'd only ever hooked 1 Yateley carp and lost it. And in my next 4 sessions, I caught 4 Yateley carp. So there was definitely something in it, and I've pretty much been using it ever since. So now we spoke about the rig, let's look at how we're going to tie it. So when I tie rigs, I like to get everything out, everything ready so I know what I'm dealing with. CamoX in 25 pound, a size 4 Ape-X beak point. Tungsten kicker, tungsten anti-tangle sleeve, 1 little bit of shrink tube and a pulling tool, because it always comes in useful, and we are ready to go. So first things first, get me Hooklink out, lovely camouflage Hooklink material. I want a good 14 or 15 inches of that. I always like to work with plenty of room. What I'd like to do, I do my index finger and a half, which is a good rule of thumb to strip. Stick it into the tool, pull down on it, strip it off completely. And a simple overhand knot at the end, creating a hair rig. Get your multi-tool into the knot, pulling it down nice and tight, then just snip off your excess. Next, I'm going to add a bait. So I'm taking out one of these little yellow mainline banoffees. Smell lovely, just like bananas. Onto the baiting needle, through your loop. Then get yourself a Boilie Stop. I like to match my hook bait with my Boilie Stop, so it's not too obvious, especially as it's going to be popped up off the bottom. I don't want to cause any suspicion whatsoever. Through the loop and pull it down, and that's sitting nice and flush to the bottom of the bait. Next, I'm going to add the hook. Probably one of my favourite hooks in the range, if not my favourite. It's not only super sharp, it's mega strong. So I go through the back of the eye, line up my boilie, remembering I'm going to be putting a big weight on that, so I want to leave a bit more room than I normally would. Then I pinch the two together, and I'm going to go 4 to 5 times round. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back through the back of the eye, pull it tight. So that's your basic knotless knot. Now we're going to add an SSG or a treble A shot, a nice big shot. Something's going to really pull that down. I'm not looking to balance that rig. This rig hits the bottom nice and hard. A snip of shrink tubing, just about 2 or 3 mil, enough to hold the hair in place. Slide it down the CamoX. Little bit of wet on the eye of the hook to help it go over. Just use your fingernails to knead it over, and that will slide down the shank like so. Now I'm going to add the kicker. I've got a tungsten kicker here, it's a large one. Push that down. Again, just wet the top of the eye of the hook, and that will help the kicker slide over. And there you go, and that sits absolutely snug, lovely. Next, I'm going to add the anti-tangle sleeve. I'll slide that on, measure out to 9 inches. Sometimes I like 7, in this case I'm going to go to 9. Just simply fold it over and do a figure of 8 knot. You double it over, make a loop, put a twist and go through the loop. Little bit of spit on there, multi-tool through the loop, and just pull it down, bedding it in nice and equal, nice and tight. Cut off your excess, like so. Then slide up your anti-tangle sleeve, enclosing the knots. You've just got the loop out, and now all that's left to do is steam that tubing onto the shank, and I've got my drop down rig super heavy bait. So we're not going balanced, we're going the opposite to what everyone else does. It sits up off the bottom, but when it goes in the mouth, it drops down, hence the name, the drop down rig. So because I like to fish the drop down rig on a rock hard bottom, I like to use the uni lead clip, which is simply, I attach this to the quick change swivel, pull it on, a little bit of sliver on there to help the anti-tangle sleeve slide over the swivel. So there you have it, the drop down rig. Simple to tie, super effective, and something that's caught me loads and loads of carp over a lot of years.